speaks to the black community of Austin, Texas for the first time tonight, 7 p.m., Givens Rec Center, 3811 12th Street. Black Parent Advocate book release. The new book is in Austin, Texas for the first time tonight. The new book is in Austin, Texas for the first time tonight. Black Parent Advocate, $50. Credit card, cash, or Cash App. $50. Credit card, cash, or Cash App. Even if you can't get the book, come out and get the message. Come out and get the lessons. All black activists need to hear tonight's message. All black parents need to hear tonight's message. Now, I want to say something right now. Houston, Texas. Let me see how far away Houston is. Because some Houston people didn't know that I was in Houston 2 weeks ago. Some Houston Africans didn't know I was in Houston 2 weeks ago. Some Houston Africans didn't know I was in Houston. So let's see how far away Houston is. Let's see. Houston, Texas is 2 hours and 44 minutes. Houston, if you get in the car right now at 4 o'clock, you will be here by 7. Houston, Texas, if you get in the car right now, you will be here before 7 o'clock. Let me see how far Dallas. I heard of some Dallas Africans who didn't know that I was at Aldi's Caribbean restaurant 2 Sundays ago. There's some Dallas Africans who didn't know I was at Aldi's Caribbean restaurant 2 Sundays ago. Let's see how far away Dallas is. Dallas to Austin. 3 hours and 10 minutes. If you leave right now at 3:50 p.m., you will be here at 7 o'clock on the dot. Houston, pull up. Dallas, pull up. Where my San Antonio Africans? San Antonio. See how far away San Antonio Africans. 1 hour and 28 minutes. So San Antonio Africans, you don't have no excuse. San Antonio Africans, you are only 1 hour and 28 minutes away from the Givens Recreational Center at 3811 East 12th Street, where the Prince of Pan-Africanism will be addressing the black community of Austin, Texas for the first time ever. 3811 East 12th Street, Givens Recreational Center, Givens. I love Blackpink. Let me say this to you, Miss White Lady. I have nothing against white people. I have nothing against you. Nothing at all. I have nothing against the Neanderthal species. Let me be clear. I am against the way you all treat African people. I'm not against you. I do not teach or practice hate. I am against the way that the Neanderthal species has historically treated the original man and woman. See, this is the same conversation we run into when people bring up that rainbow gang. I am not against any member of the Rainbow Nation. I am against the promotion and propagation of said lifestyle to black children, because it is a threat to the survival of the black family. Don't confuse my disagreement with your behavior. Is not the same as somebody disagreeing with your existence. It's not the same as somebody disagreeing with your human being. I don't disagree with the European human being or the Rainbow Gang human being. I disagree with your behavior, which is antithetical to the best interests of African people. I need you to understand, overstand, and understand, Madam Snow Bunny. I want you to understand, overstand, and understand. We can have a conversation. We can talk, we can debate, we can discuss. I've had plenty of intelligent conversations with members of the Caucasoid nation. We can't get married, we can't reproduce, because there's one less brother available for black women. Do you understand me? That's why I don't want black men dating black men. That's one less black man for the black woman. We're trying to save a race, and you can't save a race without saving the family. Do you understand, and overstand, Madam Snow Bunny? Now, here's what I wanted to talk about. Austin, Texas. I am here. Pull up if you need the flyer for tonight's lecture. If you need the flyer for the Dr. Papa Austin debut, you can text my cell at 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. Now, what I want to do for the next 10 minutes is I want to talk about why so many Africans are not living their best life, because we are dealing with a crisis of mediocrity in the African community globally. I am a Pan-Africanist. Globally, we're dealing with an epidemic of mediocrity and underachievement for African people. We are dealing with a global epidemic of mediocrity and underachievement for African people. So I want to talk about why some of us are not living our best life. I'm putting my psychologist hat on now. I'm coming to you as the doctor of clinical psychology. I'm coming to you as the doctor of clinical psychology. I never take off my Pan-Africanist hat. I never take off my revolutionist hat. But I'm coming to you as the doctor of clinical psychology. But before I do, hit the Cash App. I need you to hit the Cash App. $FDMG School. Hit the Cash App. $FDMG School. Hit the Cash App. Hit the PayPal International Africans. PayPal.me/FDMG Academy. Hit the PayPal International Africans. PayPal.me/FDMG Academy. Hit the Cash App. Domestic Africans. $FDMG School. Hit the Cash App, American Africans. $FDMG School. Hit the PayPal International Africans. PayPal.me/FDMG Academy. Why are we not living our best life? Looking forward to meeting my Austin family. I have a new family I'm going to meet tonight. Austin, Texas. Let's do it. Number one, these are in no order. While some of us as Africans, I'm speaking to continental Africans, I'm speaking to European Africans, I'm speaking to Australian Africans, I'm speaking to South Pacific Africans, I'm speaking to Canadian Africans, I'm speaking to American Africans, I'm speaking to Caribbean Africans, I'm speaking to South American Africans, I'm speaking to Central American Africans, I'm speaking to the Mexican African, I'm speaking to all Africans. We have a crisis of mediocrity and underachievement. One reason, lack of discipline. Lack of discipline. If you don't have the ability to do what you don't want to do, you will never achieve the destiny God has intended for you. Discipline is divine. Self-discipline leads to self-mastery. When you have achieved self-mastery, you have become a living, breathing God. I'm going to say it again. Self-discipline leads to self-mastery. Self-mastery makes you a god or a goddess. See, some of us walk around the Hotep community, the woke community, the fake conscious community, and we say things like, we are all gods and goddesses. No, not quite. Not quite. We all have the potential to become gods and goddesses. We have the potential. You have the potential to become a god or a goddess. The potential. The seed is within your third eye. It is there. but you must develop it. You must actualize that potential. You are not a god just by being born. You are not a goddess just by being born. You have to evolve yourself into that. There must be an evolution of consciousness for there to be a revolution in reality. There must be an evolution in consciousness before there can be a revolution in your reality. You're not born a god or a goddess. You're born with the potential to grow into being a god or a goddess. And there's no such thing as a god or a goddess without self-discipline, because you must achieve self-mastery to become a god or a goddess, and you can't achieve self-mastery without self-discipline and self-control. So let us work on improving our self-control and our self-discipline, emotional, financial, sexual, psychological, industrial, political. We must improve our self-discipline so we can achieve self-mastery, because once you have achieved self-mastery, you are now a candidate for God status or goddess status. So that's number one. Work on your discipline. Work on your discipline. This is the Prince of Pan-Africanism coming to you live from Austin, Texas. I speak tonight, 7 o'clock. Can't wait. Givens Rec Center, 3811 East 12th Street, Austin, Texas. Let's get it. San Antonio, pull up. Houston, pull up. Dallas, pull up. Longview, pull up. Number one is discipline. Another reason why a lot of us are not achieving our God-given destiny is because we have evolved. Some of us have evolved intellectually beyond the level of our current romantic partner, but we are still sexually bound to that romantic partner. You have outgrown the partner intellectually, but you are sexually bound to the partner. In other words, the lust, the cravings of the flesh, the lust, the cravings of the flesh, the lust, keeping you in an unhealthy physical relationship that you have intellectually outgrown. You have intellectually outgrown that man. You have intellectually outgrown that woman, but you are sexually bound. Your lower nature won't allow your higher nature to take off. Let me say it again. Your lower nature is at war with your higher nature. Your lower nature is at war with your higher nature. Your lower nature is still craving the cookies. Your lower nature is still craving the toxic phallus, the toxic vagina. Your lower nature is craving something that you mentally have outgrown. And so you are unhappy because you are a god living in a house with an undeveloped devil, a she-devil, or you are a goddess living in a house with an underdeveloped he-devil. You are a god, but you making love to a devil. How you going to be happy? How you going to reach your highest destiny when you mating with the demons of evil? See, you can be ready up here, but if your flesh has you incarcerated, you can be ready intellectually, but if your flesh has you incarcerated to the lust and cravings of the body, you will not be able to grow. You will not be able to grow. So when I get my two wives, right, when I find my two wives, if one wife is a god and the other is a devil, it's going to imbalance the trifecta of my home. If one wife is evolving into her goddessness and the other wife is still comfortable, weaves, perms, hanging out at the club, getting drunk, smoking blunts all day, being more concerned about how she looks than how she thinks, let me say it again. I want you to understand, and understand. Any man or woman who cares more about how they look on the outside than how they think on the inside is not somebody you need to be with. That is not a goddess, and that is not a god. That is not a goddess. And that is not a God. When I see these women on social media, no disrespect, but when I see a black woman spending more time taking pictures, every time I go to your page, it's nothing but pictures. All you do is take pictures of yourself all day long. In your 20s, maybe. Teenagers, of course. A 40-year-old woman, a 50-year-old woman, and her only contribution to black consciousness is her curves. Now, don't get me wrong, I love me some curves. I love me some curves. But if the only thing you have to offer, your whole social media is nothing but pictures of you, you are an underdeveloped soul. You are not on the path to goddessness. When you see a brother and all he want to talk about is lust, all he want to talk about is fat asses, all he want to talk about is car and his clothes and Gucci rags and Timberlands, if his whole conversation is about pulling up to the club and pulling up to the queens, hanging out with the homies and smoking the weed, you're not on the path to godness, my brother. That's not the path. See, everybody want to be a god, but nobody wants to do the work to get there. Everybody wants to be a god, but nobody wants to do the work to get there. Everybody wants to be a god, but nobody wants to do the work to get there. Third reason why we have so many miserable Africans on this planet. Third reason why we have so many miserable Africans on this planet. Third reason why we have so many miserable Africans on this planet is that many of us are living a life without purpose. Many of us are living a life without purpose. I'm here to tell you something right now. This is the doctor of clinical psychology speaking to your unhealthy soul. This is the doctor of clinical psychology speaking to your unhealthy soul. One of the reasons so many Africans around the world are miserable and unhappy is because your life has no purpose. You might have a good job, but does your life have any purpose? You might belong to the Masonic temple, but does your life have any purpose? You may be an Alpha, you might be a Q, you might be a Sigma, you might be a Kappa, you might be an Iota. But does your life have any purpose? You might be a Zeta. You might be a Delta. I love them Deltas. Lord have mercy. You might be an AKA. You might be an SG Row. But does your life have any purpose? You might be a Muslim praying 5 times a day. But does your life have any purpose? You might be a Bible-toting Christian going to church every Sunday. But does your life have any purpose? Stop confusing obligations with purpose. Purpose and obligation are two different things. Paying your bills is an obligation, but God did not birth you into this world for you to pay bills. Working is an obligation, and you might even like your job, but you were not birthed into this world to work. Do you understand me? Don't confuse obligation with purpose. You need a purpose. And I'm going to tell you right now, the worst thing you can do is get involved in a relationship when you have purpose and your partner does not. Lord have mercy. Who can identify with me? If there's a brother out there who can identify with the message, give me a black fist. If there's a sister who can identify with the message, give me a heart. If there's a brother who can identify with the message, give me a black fist. If it's a sister who can identify with the message, give me a heart. The worst thing you can do is get into a relationship with somebody who doesn't have any purpose. Can you imagine? Let's take Dr. Umar Ifatunde. Let's take the #1 Pan-Africanist, the #1 school psychologist, the #1 activist in the world right now for our race. Let's take me. I'm building a school. I'm saving children. I got the parent association. I'm traveling around raising the consciousness. I got the trips to Africa. I got the Black College Tour. I got the national movement to save black boys. My life is full of purpose. Dr. Umar's life is full of purpose. Could you imagine if I settled down with a queen whose life has no purpose? Too many black women are settling down with men who have no purpose. Too many black men are settling down with women who have no purpose. Get out the relationship before it destroys you. Get out the relationship before it destroys you. And see, this is why we got to have sexual discipline. This is why we got to have sexual discipline, because When you have a baby with somebody who you never intended to be with, which was poor judgment and poor responsibility, some of us are guilty of that. Some of us are guilty of that. But when you have a baby with someone who you never intended to be with, and you build a family around the children as you should, stay if you can and raise them babies together. Is better for the psychological health, but it'll be miserable, but worth it for the kids. But the reason you're miserable is because you got purpose and your partner don't have no purpose. You mean to tell me you're trying to change the world? You're trying to change the world. You're trying to change the world, and you're married to somebody who lives to watch Basketball Wives for 1 hour every week. Your life is brimming over with purpose, but you're married to somebody who only lives to watch Sunday Night Football every week. You're married to somebody who lives to watch the NBA Finals every year. You're married to somebody who lives to go out to the nightclub with her girlfriend every Friday. How in the hell can a person with purpose? I was out practicing with him the other day, teaching him how to shoot jump shots. Ben Simmons will be back with the Sixers. He's working on his game. Let the brother live. But I digress. Consciousness over cookies. You must live by consciousness over cookies. For the man and for the woman. For the man, don't go taking no cookies. For the woman, don't be giving out your cookies. Consciousness over cookies. When you are driven by lust, you always lose. When you are driven by lust. I wasn't practicing with Ben Simmons. I'm just joking. But leave him alone. He will be back with the Sixers next year. Hear me out, family. I'm talking about why some of us are miserable. Let me give you another reason why some of us are miserable. So we talked about discipline. We talked about spending our lives with people who are not on a path to become goddess or God. I could never marry a woman who's not on a path to becoming a goddess. I'm trying to evolve. I want to become a god. I want to join the Orisha when I ascend to the ancestor realm. I have a life of purpose. Don't get in a relationship with somebody whose life don't have purpose. Another reason why some of us are miserable. We have allowed European capitalism to convince us that having things. Let me say it again. Many Africans have been convinced. I don't care if you are continental African. I don't care if you are Caribbean African. I don't care if you are an Australian African. I don't care if you are an American African. I don't care if you are South American African, a Central American African, a South Pacific African. I'm telling you, many of us have allowed European capitalism to convince us that having things is what makes you happy. Let me say it again. The white man has convinced the black man that having things makes you happy. So you get one car, and soon you buy that car, you're so happy, you're so excited. You got a new Benz, you got a new caddy truck, you got the new Phantom, you got the new the Tesla, you got this new car. And for the first 4 weeks, the new car. For the first 4 weeks, the new car has you brainwashed. The new car is playing a trick on you. The new car has you thinking that you're happier because you have it. That new Louis bag, that new house has you thinking. Those new Timbs, those new Jordans has you thinking that you're happier because you have it. You notice how after 3 or 4 weeks, you're not as happy no more? You know why you're not as happy 3 or 4 weeks after you bought the car, bought the house? Because the car did not make you happier. It only distracted distracted you from your misery temporarily. See, whenever you buy something, it's a honeymoon period. Whenever you buy something, it's a honeymoon period. Whenever you buy something, it's a honeymoon period. Whenever you buy, so when you bought that car, when you bought that caddy truck, you bought that Benz, you bought that Beamer, you bought that Tesla, you bought the $1 million house. You thought it made you feel better, but it didn't make you feel better. It distracted you from the problems that you're usually faced with. But after 3 or 4 weeks, when the honeymoon period wears off, when the honeymoon period wears off, you notice how you right back where you started? 4 weeks after the Mercedes, you just as miserable as you were before you bought the Mercedes. 4 weeks after you bought the house, you just as miserable as you was before you bought the house. So then you say, let me go buy a Louis bag. Let me go on vacation with my girlfriends. Let me go smoke some blunts with my fellas. And all you're doing is distracting yourself from your problems. We are living in a grand distraction of materialism invented by European consciousness. We are living in a grand distraction of materialism invented by European consciousness. We are living in a grand distraction of materialism invented by European consciousness. I thank my mother. I thank my mother from the bottom of my soul. I thank my mother for not raising me to worship things. Because not being in love with the stuff white people make has allowed me to remain a free man. I don't know what the newest car is, and I don't want to know. I don't know what the latest sneakers are, and I don't want to know. I don't know what the most expensive clothing are, and I don't want to know. I don't know how much the Gucci flip-flops cost. I don't know how much the Louis belt costs, and I don't want to know. Because I do not exist within the matrix of European materialism. One of the wars we're going to have to declare on ourselves. We're going to have to declare a war against European materialism. How can a people begging for reparations? How can a people begging for reparations? How can a people begging for reparations? How can a people begging for reparations afford to spend millions on Gucci, Louis, Jordan, Mercedes, BMW? Somebody help me out. Somebody help me out. We are constantly begging the U.S. government to do for us. That's all we do. Beg, beg, beg. Go watch Roland Martin show. All Roland Martin doing his show all day is do what? Beg. What is the government going to do? What is our elected officials going to do? Beg, 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 beg white people all day. And then you argue with other people who ain't begging hard enough, or you argue with the other beggars. All we doing is begging. But you got money for Gucci. You got money for Louis. I'm telling you right now, if you will just accept these words to be true, you will save yourself a lot of money. Some of you are caught up in the matrix of European materialism. You believe the more you own, the happier you are. You are so wrong. Please get out the matrix. You believe the more you own, the happier you are. You are so wrong. Please get out the matrix. You believe the more you own, the happier you are. Please get out the matrix. And I'm going to tell you something else. Don't ever settle down with somebody who's married to materialism. Because anybody married to materialism, I can tell you right now. If you know somebody who's married to materialism, I can promise you, deep down inside, they are not at peace with themselves or their life. The pursuit of materialism is a distraction from internal development. The pursuit of materialism is a distraction from internal development. You don't want to work on your inner self, so you're going to spend all your time working on your outer self. You don't want to work on your inner self, so you're going to spend all your time working on your outer self. You don't want to work on your inner self, so you're going to spend all your time working on your outer self. That's why one of the first things you want to know about a person